Hello again, friends. We're still on 5.4, solving trigonometric equations. This is my fifth example. I'm assuming that you've gone through the first four at this point. And this one's going to be an application question. It's found in the textbook on page 288, number 22A. So just go there and have a look at it now. The question refers to a rider on a Ferris wheel, and the ride is modeled by this equation, h equals 10 sine of pi over 15 times t minus 7.5 plus 12. So we can see all of the different transformations on the sine function in that formula, in that function. And part A asks us, determine the first two times that the rider is 20 meters above the ground to the nearest hundredth of a second. So that means that the height, h, which we're told is measured in meters above the ground, is 20 meters. So we're simply going to substitute that in for h, and then we're going to need to solve for t to find out what those times are when the rider is 20 meters above the ground. Okay, once you've put in your 20 meters for h, now we need to, as I said, isolate t. And we're going to do this by undoing everything that is being done to t from the outside in. So we need to start with this 12. We can move that over to the other side and subtract it from 20. So I'm doing that now. Then you need to ask yourself, what is the next thing that is the furthest away from t on the right side of the equation? That would be the 10. What is the operation between the 10 and the sine function? Multiplication. How do I undo that? I have to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by 10. 20 minus 12 is 8. Divided by 10 would be 0.8 on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, we still have sine of pi over 15 times t minus 7.5. Okay, let's go to the next page here. I'm just going to rewrite that so we can continue. 0.8 equals sine of pi over 15 times t minus 7.5. Okay. I'm going to switch back to my black color now. Okay. Now this part, we just need to be a little bit careful about how we do it. So next thing that we need to undo that's furthest away from the t is the sine function. How do we undo sine? We have to do sine inverse. So we're going to do sine inverse. Whoops. Let me fix that. That looked like an M. Sine inverse of the other side, which is 0.8, and that's going to be equal to pi over 15, because now we've undone the sine on the right hand side, so it's gone. Pi over 15 times t minus 7.5. The sine inverse of 0.8 is just like when we're finding the related acute angle. So first thing we need to do is locate the quadrants that we're in. Sine is positive, therefore we're in quadrants 1 and 2. And we want to find that related acute angle alpha on both sides here. Sine inverse of 0.8 you will need to do on your calculator. Make sure you are in radian mode, because we want the answer in radians. And if you do sine inverse of 0.8 on your calculator in radian mode, then you should get, question says round to the nearest hundredth. I'm going to keep 3 decimal places at this point, so 0.927, I'll round to the nearest hundredth on the final answer. I always try to keep more decimal places until I get to the final answer. So I don't want to lose too much accuracy by rounding off too many times or too much along the way. Okay, so now we have our related acute angle, which is 0.927. And that would be here and here in the second quadrant. All right, so pi over 15 times t minus 7.5, we still have all of that together, equals 0.927. That's one of the possible answers. The other possible answer would be the standard angle that goes with, let's get another color here, that goes with the related acute angle of 0.927 in the second quadrant, which would be pi minus 0.927, which comes out to approximately 2.215. All right, so we have pi over 15 equals 0.927. I can't, my color doesn't change. Okay, there we go. 0.927 or pi over 15 equals 2.215. Just fix these 2's over here. Okay. How's everybody doing so far? It's lonely doing these math lessons with nobody to answer my questions. I miss being with you guys. All right, so now we need to isolate t in each of these equations, and then we will have our 2 answers that tell us when the rider is 20 meters above the ground. So starting with the first one, pi over 15 times t minus 7.5 equals 0.927. Again, we need to undo everything that is being done to t from the outside in. Okay, we want to isolate t. So why am I not getting, oh, I see. Okay, now I see why I need, how I can change my color. All right, so I want to isolate t. So what is the furthest thing from t right now? Would be this pi over 15. How do I undo it? Well, I can either multiply by 15 first and then divide by pi. But to do that in one step, I can just multiply by the reciprocal, which is 15 over pi. So that's what I'm going to do on the next page. Let me go back to my black color. So I have pi over 15 times t minus 7.5 equals 0.927. And I'm going to multiply both sides, hopefully you can see this, by 15, no, this is not coming out clear, just one second, let me do it this way. I'm going to, oh, I'm already on green, okay. I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 15 over pi to get rid of the pi over 15 over here. So that cancels out on the left-hand side. So on the left-hand side now I just have t minus 7.5 And on the right-hand side, I have the answer to 0.927 times 15 over pi, which is, let's see, do I have it here? No, hang on, let me get my calculator. 0.927 times 15. Make sure you press equals and then divide by pi. So I have 4.426. Okay, and then to get t, I would just move that 7.5 over. It becomes positive 7.5 plus 4.426, which comes to 11.93 to the nearest hundredth. So 11.93 seconds is what time is measured in. And we were told that in the question. Okay, that's my first answer. My second answer, so this was answer 1. Answer 2 comes from the equation pi over 15 times t minus 7.5 equals 2.215, which was my angle in the second quadrant. So I'm not going to go through all the steps to isolate t because they're exactly the same as what I did in the first case. I'm just going to jump straight to the answer, which I have, let me see here, 215 times 15 divided by pi, 18.10 to the nearest hundredth, or 18.1.